Decided I'm gonna go underwearless today. So jeans, no underwear.
Nice.
And then I had to sit through a 8-hour class on accountability so I can change the outlook of my job. Oh, I'm gonna go all day.
That's good too,
And
because
then I just went home and I saw my lovely woman Susanna, and we had a discussion on how her day was and how my day was, like couples should.
yep.
And then I drove myself here. At first, I pulled into the building next door.
The bus station. You're not hearing anything? That's weird.
What is going on?
Hey, he takes much better direction than Rumble, though, huh?
That's because Rumble's a fool. I just turned it back on. Do you hear anything now?
The new ones that we bought.
Yeah.
Hello?
They're not working good?
Mute button,
Ah.
which I thought was not good because the mute button comes.
Yeah, no. So I told him they needed a laptop if we got a Skype. Just as we started up, he's like, "Oh, I gotta move. I moved my phone." I'm like, "Come on, Rumble."
Changed it to line.
I like JC. He's always been good to me, but I was like,
Rumble?
fuck,
Yeah.
yeah, fuck Skype anymore. Though I'd rather, if you can't come in here, I only did it for him because he's got the show coming up, you know, and I've known him for so long. I felt like I should, it was a
I
good
hear
thing
you.
to do.
Yeah, I
you
hear
know?
you. Yeah, Rumble. Oh my God, I had such a run-in with Rumble. Like, I loved him.
Okay, listen,
Yeah, go
I just got to
ahead.
get my back,
Good.
my notebook. I'm listening.
I had a run-in with Rumble. Where,
Oh, you did, yeah?
We worked.
Hi, welcome to the Ring and All of the Sports. My name is Leo Connors. I'm your host, and tonight I got a very special guest, couple years in the making, Julian Starr. Julian, thank you.
What's going on, guys? What's going on, Leo? You see that? Handshake
Yeah.
all day.
Let's just touch on that real quick.
All right. So, my ordeal with the handshake, okay,
Yes.
is this. In your everyday work life, you go to work.
Yeah.
And you don't walk up to the VP, your CEO, the boss, whatever.
Nobody.
You're like, good morning, hi Tim, hey Joe, hey whatever. I get that it's a part of life. When you see someone, you typically interact with them. Like, honestly, if I had just walked, like if you were here already and I had walked in, I would be like, hey Leo, what's going on, whatever, because we're greeting each other. But to make it a point in a locker room to, all right, I got my checklist of who's on the roster tonight. Let me make sure I get everyone from the person who's supplying toilet paper to the person on camera to the boss. You know what I mean? And then all of a sudden, if I don't hit someone, my spot is in jeopardy because I didn't like fondle your hand. Like it's ridiculous. And to me, it's ridiculous. Everyday life, you walk into a building, you're usually like, hey, what's going on, guys? Good morning, whatever.
Exactly.
And then if you decide you've never met someone.
Right.
Hey, what's going on? My name's Julian.
Yes.
Perfectly acceptable. But to make it a goodbye or an entry and a goodbye move, it's just like change it. Just change it. We have the power to. Wrestling's evolving. Yes, it is a sign of respect, but if you literally take yourself so seriously that if I don't go and vigorously fondle your hand, then and you're mad at me or want to jeopardize my spot for it, then so be it. If this is the only thing that makes you important in life, great. You didn't accomplish anything in life. Go cry yourself to sleep.
Nice.
That's my opinion.
And that's perfect, though. You're right, though, because when I go, the only time I shake somebody's hand at work is like if I meet them or when the tradesmen come and they're coming to do a job for me at the school, I'm willing to
Hey,
shake
what's
their
going
hand.
on?
Exactly.
But if you see the guys every day, why do you have to show up at
Right.
every show and hit every single person's hand?
I don't
Just, hey,
shake
what's going on,
everybody's
guys?
hand.
Blah,
You're
blah,
right.
blah. Oh, I've never met you. Hey, what's going on, Carlito? My name's Julian. Blah,
Right.
blah, blah. Oh, is this the promoter? Hey, sir, nice to meet you. I've never worked for you before. You become friends and stuff.
Yep.
Hey, what's going on? Maybe a hug, maybe a high five, whatever. But this whole like hello.
Right.
Here's the show. Okay, goodbye.
Yep.
And then I missed one guy. My spot's jeopardized. It's
Yeah, no, I hear you. That's definitely, and people have lost their spots.
exactly.
It's like ridiculous.
It's the stupidest
It
mindset
is.
ever. Just change it.
Yep.
Change it to a normal acting society.
Right. And that's a great point. All right, so Julian, we're just going to get right into this real quick. Maria Grasso, happy birthday. I love you. I'll see you when I get home. Love you. I already said it twice. I don't know why I did that.
Well, because you gotta get on her good side.
Oh,
'cause
yeah,
you already
buddy.
screwed it up being here with me.
I already screwed up because I didn't wish her happy birthday when I woke her up to leave this morning. I screwed that up. All right, Julian, where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Haverhill, Massachusetts.
Oh, wow.
Yep,
Okay.
born and bred. I was delivered in Boston, Massachusetts, but I was born and bred in or raised in Haverhill, Massachusetts. Went through the whole school system and graduated Whittier Tech. And right out of high school, I went straight into wrestling.
Nice. Now, did you know Brian Privatera before wrestling?
Oh, I did.
You did?
Oh,
And his
I did.
brother?
Yes. Not who's his brother?
I don't. He's friends with my nephew-in-law, so I don't know which. He's got a couple brothers, I thought.
I don't know his brother, but I
Yeah.
know Brian Privatera. So funny story.
Yeah.
When I got out of high school, I started training with Derek Mitchell.
Okay.
Derek Mitchell had started a school in Haverhill, Massachusetts. I didn't know how to find schools. Found out a school was in Haverhill. Whatever, I show up, and it was funny because like my third class in was, okay, you seem to understand it. We'll rewind a little bit. I had done a fantasy camp with Steve Bradley when I was 14
okay.
years old.
He was the original guy that did that, correct?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah. So I did a fantasy camp when I was 14
Right.
at Steve Bradley. So I kind of learned how to bump there and did this, that. Plus I backyard wrestled.
Yep.
So fast forward to this, I start wrestling with Derek. Long story short, Derek's starting to run shows and stuff, and he's making Haverhill his deal. Now, I don't know anything.
Right.
So I'm at Choice Fitness in Haverhill, Mass, and I'm working out, and I see a poster for a show. I found out it was Brian Privatera's.
Oh, yes, I remember he ran the show.
So I ripped it down in the gym because I was like, screw that guy.
Right.
He's not going to run in Haverhill and mess up Derek's opportunity
Right.
to take Haverhill. So somehow he gets my number and he calls me with this threatening message. He's like, if you ever call blah, 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 and rip down my posters again, I'm going to come find you. And I'm going to beat the living out of you, yada, yada, yada. And he just, whatever, and then he hangs up. And I was like, okay.
Right.
And that was my only impression of him forever.
Right.
And then
Which obviously wasn't good, Brian.
Yeah.
Because I know he's watching. Because he told me he couldn't wait to see this one.
I don't take a lot to heart.
Yeah.
And I don't wear stuff on me for too long.
Right.
So that was my first impression of him. So was what it was. I took it, held on to it, threw it away, and that was my opinion of him.
Right.
To this point forward, I think he's a clown, but I think he just really wants to be accepted in wrestling, and so I think that's what he was trying to do. And
Right.
also, we were younger, so he
Yep.
could have just been stupid at the time. It's neither here nor there. I could care less now.
Right.
But that was kind of my run-in with Brian.
Yeah. Brian's been on the show a couple times.
Mm-hmm.
Good guy to me and my family. All right. So when did you first see pro wrestling?
I don't remember the exact age, but I had a friend named Jason Kimball who lived next door. And we used to hang out and play sports and whatnot. He showed me wrestling. He had a tape. I don't remember. I want to say it was a Survivor Series. You might be able to know because my memory's gone.
Right.
It was the Big Boss Man against Nails, Nightstick on a pole.
Okay, I remember that match.
Okay,
Yeah.
I think it was a Survivor Series. And I was just so engulfed on Nails cutting his promo because he was just so into it.
Right.
And I was like, whoa. And then Big Boss Man, same thing. So I'm like, these two look like they hate each other.
Yeah,
This
yeah.
dude's sick. And I was just like, what is happening? And then I saw Bret Hart that night and Shawn Michaels. And I was like, I hate Shawn because back in the 90s,
yeah,
if you were that type
absolutely.
of way, you were
Yep.
considered,
Yeah.
what's okay now.
Right.
And then Bret Hart, this
Yeah.
cool guy, leather
Wicked
jacket.
cool guy.
And I was like, dude, this
Right.
stuff is awesome. And from that point forward, I went over his house every single day, and we put on the same tape every day, and
Wow.
we wrestled in his mom's room, and it was just, from that point forward, wrestling took off for me. I didn't actually discover Monday Night Raw
Yeah.
until like Attitude Era days.
Oh, really?
Because I didn't know how to find it. I
Right,
didn't
right.
know anything. So
Great era though.
Yeah.
The greatest era in my eyes. And I started watching in '72. I love all the eras.
Yeah.
But there's no doubt the Attitude Era was the best.
So I'll say this for Brian Fury.
Yeah.
I'll say it on camera, wherever you are. The Attitude Era is great for characters.
Yep.
It is in my opinion, the greatest era of characters that you were invested in, that people that were outside of wrestling knew about. I asked some girl at my job, some woman at my job who's like 45 years old, and I was like, do you know who Stone Cold Steve Austin is? She was like, yep. I was like, do you know who The Rock is? She was like, yep. I said, do you know who Bret Hart is? She was like, yes, I do. I said, great. Do you know who Seth Rollins is? And she goes, never heard of him. And I said, that's my point.
Exactly.
It was a different era. The wrestling itself was awful.
Right.
It's terrible. It was Irish whip something every 5 seconds. But to play on what you just said, yes, it was probably the greatest era in wrestling as far as investment of characters.
Yes.
And it's boom.
All right. So you said you had a friend into it. Was anybody in your family into it too?
Yes, my older brother John was heavily into it. My younger brother, I think, just played along because it's what we did. But my older brother was super into it. To this day, he still, I think, thinks some parts are real. And The Undertaker was his all-time favorite.
You can't go wrong with The Undertaker.
I could tell you if my brother went to the gym and my brother tried, because he's one of those guys who's never touched a gym a day in his life. But if he tried, God, does he have the personality for wrestling?
Really?
He could cut a I guarantee you he could out-promo someone today because he's very much a big personality.
Right.
I bet he could be a good manager or someone.
There's a question coming up from myself about managers after, so I'm glad you brought that up. When did you go to your first show?
All right, so I don't remember, again, I don't remember the age.
Yep.
I was fairly young. My first show ever, my dad said he got tickets to wrestling, so I lost my mind.
Right.
And I guess you might be able to know this. Kowalski used to run a show.
Yeah, the IWF shows.
It might have been IWF.
Oh, those are good
and
shows.
And so was there, Prince Albert was on them.
Yeah, he used to have WWE guys, lower WWE guys. Vince would let him use those guys.
There was a guy named something Slater. I remember Prince Albert, and then I remember a guy playing Doink, but he had overalls.
Okay, that's...
he had overalls with, like, they were cut off at the knee. I'm pretty sure that it was, oh my God, what was his name?
One of the Godwins?
No, oh my God. He worked for WFA. He was like one of Steve Bradley's closer guys. He worked with him a lot.
Not Phil Apollo?
No. He worked for WFA.
There was another guy, too.
He came out with like a gown and a cap. He was like the graduate.
Oh, Tim McNeely.
Yes, I think it was Tim McNeely as Doink.
Right.
But he was like renegade Doink.
Yeah.
I'm sick of this gimmick, and I'm not going to be a funny clown. It was a different take, I believe.
Right.
But I loved it. I was invested beyond belief. I remember specifically Doink getting kicked out and being by the guardrail and me like stomping him, and like I was just. It was always a thing. Like from this point forward, I was like, I'm not doing anything else in life but this. Like this is what I want to do, or I'd rather die.
Nice. That's funny because I'm going to get rid of that question because when did you know you wanted to wrestle? You were young.
Almost immediately.
All right. Who were some of your favorites at the beginning?
At the very, very beginning, it was Bret Hart, Owen Hart. I think overall I liked the Hart Foundation because I didn't like Jim so much, but I liked the British Bulldog.
Yep.
I loved Brian Christopher. I thought he was such a good heel. He was so entertaining to me.
Definitely.
Later on, Shawn Michaels, and then my favorite of all time was Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yeah.
Reason being is because he always resonated with me as a guy who wasn't afraid to say whatever he wanted. Was very loudly outspoken, and didn't like to be told what to do. And I can resonate with that.
Right.
So
nice. All right. So who trained you? You said you started with Derek Mitchell.
Yep.
Did you end up going up to Bradley's?
No.
Okay.
So I originally, when I got out of high school, Bradley's was my first stop. And he had been out of business and was gone. So I was upset and was like, I don't know where to go.
Right.
So I find Derek. I stayed with Derek for about a year or so. And after Derek, I broke away because I had turned on TV one day, and on my TV was Chaotic Wrestling. And I was like, what is Chaotic Wrestling?
Right.
So I finally get my hands on a computer. My family was poor, so we didn't get a computer until I was like 18. So I go to the library, get on a computer, find Chaotic. I find out it was a school. They had this little thing flashing at the top that said WWE tryout. So of course I'm like, well, I'm going to do a tryout.
Yeah.
So I click it, I sign up. It was all a work because I get to the school, it's just Max Bauer and Ivar, Handsome Johnny, whatever you know him as. And they put me through like a fantasy camp. It's me and some other jobber.
Right.
And we go through this whole thing at like 8 o'clock at night. They take like $50 from me, and then they're like, they give me feedback and they send me on my way. But years later, they're doing fantasy camps. One of the first fantasy camps I went to, I met Biff Busick there, or
Nice.
Oni Lorcan.
Yep. Was he doing the fantasy camp that day too? That
Yep,
was the one he
that
won.
was our first time together. So we're both doing it, and I'd say we were the best.
Yeah.
And they gave it to him first. He had a better body than I did. So he gave it to him first, and I was just like, dude, I was way better than him. I don't understand it. Fast forward, the next fantasy camp came around. I did it. They gave me the whole free package deal, and that's how I got started into training. And then Brian, it originally started with Malonis, Todd, and Brian Fury, and then Mike Hollow would come back.
Okay. I was going to ask if he was part of that.
Mike Hollow was back for about 6 months of my training.
Okay.
So at that time, Malonis and Handsome and them kind of stepped back a little bit. But Hollow really, really hammered home my basics and stuff.
Yep.
And I can't, like, I've said it to him a million times, I can't thank him enough. The stuff that he taught me, I used literally to the point of when I stopped wrestling. It's just like, it works so well.
Right.
There's no reason why you should never use what he taught me. And then after 6 months, he went back and did whatever he had to do, but he stepped away.
Right.
And then Malonis, Todd, and Brian came in, Fury came in, and they took over.
Right.
And then after they were done, they kind of stepped away, and then Fury was really big on the rest of, like, my finishing, if that makes sense. Obviously, everyone had a hand, Tommaso and the Logans and yada, yada, but Brian really took to me. And I think it's because he always told me, like, you remind me of me when I was younger.
Right.
Brian's 10 years older than me.
Okay.
So he always looked at me like when I was, 20, he's 30. So he always looked at me like, this is younger me.
Yeah.
And he really helped craft the wrestler I ended up becoming, and helped, I'd say, he was like the core trainer that really made me who I was.
Right. Nice. Well, I'm going to skip over. We'll go back to when your last match was, only because how you brought this up.
Okay.
Let's see. With so many great places to train right now to be a wrestler, do you think that right now New England is the best place to find a good school for aspiring wrestlers? What I mean by this is I think in the early 2000s, New York, New Jersey, and Philly was a place. They had so many places to train. All the hot promotions were there. But now it just seems there's so many great schools in New England, topped, in my opinion, by the New England Pro Wrestling Academy. Do you think it is the place like how Frankie Kazarian left California to train with Killer? Do you think this is the place now?
Maybe. It's okay. So the New England Pro Wrestling Academy is a good school.
Yes.
And it obviously has its reputation for what they turned out.
Yeah.
They have a lot of cooks in the kitchen right now, which they've always had in the past, so it's not a big deal. A lot of times you're going to find some bad schools or some schools that just really have no turnout rate.
Right.
But there's a lot of school like Ring of Honor school.
Right.
Ring of Honor school is no different than our school. They have a decent facility. They have a good facility. They have a bathroom. They have this, that, the other thing. They have tapes, libraries. They have good teachers.
Right.
A lot of it depends on the student.
Okay.
And some students either want it or they don't. Some students either catch it or they don't. And so even if you go to a bad school, like, you might be able to get finished elsewhere.
Right.
But it really depends on the person, in my opinion, because I think I would have learned what I learned on the road at some point. Because I'll use like JT Dunn as an example. Yep. When I met JT hadn't really been training much. But I believe JT got better, not just at a school.
Right.
JT got better on the road.
Right.
And so it was trial and error, and error. So it's just you either have it, you don't. You either want it or you don't. And so there's a lot of good schools in this area, but I realistically don't think it matters on the school as much as it matters on the mind.
Right.
So
nice. Well, that's a great way to put it too. But like for instance,
I'll tell you this: I would never go to the West Coast to train. There's not much choice there.
Right.
So
okay. All right, so I'm going to skip that. Let's go to when did you have? Who was your first opponent? Tell us about your debut.
Oh Jesus, I don't even remember it.
Really?
I want to say, okay, so like my actual first match ever, I believe, was against, you guys won't know who he is, but his name's Jojo Chatakati or something like that. Do you know Red the Ref?
Yeah.
It's his brother.
Okay.
So when I trained with Derek, I had my first match against Jojo. And so I hardly knew much, But that was fun.
Right.
When it came to training with Chaotic, I believe my first match with Chaotic was against Rick Fuller, I think.
Wow.
And I believe it's because we were, his name's Tony Bennett, I think his name is, but we were Agent Star and Agent Magic.
Okay.
And so we were Malonis' agents when he was running for champion.
Right.
So we ended up, as his henchman, got thrown into a match because he was out feuding with Rick Fuller. We got thrown into a handicap match. And I just remember everyone telling me about Rick Fuller's chops.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at this huge dude, and I'm like, he is 6'5".
Yeah.
He looks to be 245,
Massive
maybe
dude.
260.
Yeah.
He's a full-grown man,
Yep.
and I'm a 19-year-old boy. And so, and plus he's a veteran. He'd been
Right.
to WCW, yada yada. So I literally was like, I'm gonna get my ass kicked. Like, this isn't gonna end.
I would have felt the same way.
Yeah, but I was like, at the same time, I had the fears I had. I also said, the only thing I want to do is make him look as good as possible.
Right.
Like, I legitimately said that as all I want to do is make him
Yep.
look good. And I took pride in the fact that I know he wanted to like choke slam someone or do
Right.
something. And out of me and Tony, Brian was like, use Julian. Julian will make you look good.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, okay, I'm going to be the guy that makes people look good. Like, and I
Nice.
just kind of resonated with me. But yeah, that was my first one, and it was fine. It was easy, but it was nerve-wracking to go
Yeah, it
against
had to
Rick.
have been intimidating. I mean,
Yeah.
Rick is just so big, but he is a nice guy. I've actually got to, meet Rick at shows, at MWF shows, talk to him. Great guy. I wrote something down because you brought up a name that not many people bring up as a great wrestler that they love. Brian Christopher.
Oh, I love
I'm a
him.
huge. Do you watch the Memphis stuff?
I haven't
at all?
watched the Memphis
Oh,
stuff. I
you
just
gotta.
really like the Attitude Era version
Right.
of him.
He's so good in the Memphis stuff. You have,
Really?
One time he's got a little red wagon for all his belts. He's got like 6 titles.
He was such a good heel.
He was so obnoxious. I'm
Yeah.
telling you, man. You really got to check it
I
out.
stole a lot of his stuff
Did
when
you?
I was a heel, yeah.
Yeah, he is awesome. He's one of my favorites. I love all old Memphis stuff. All right, we'll go to the fan questions. Anthony Miller, you know Anthony Miller,
Oh, I do.
Squeaks.
I do.
What's the farthest a fan has gotten with you in an argument at a wrestling show? Thanks for the question, Anthony.
I've never gotten into an argument with a fan ever. I tend to be, as a heel, I'm very cheap heatish.
Yep.
Which is not creative, but I have fun doing it because
Right.
again, Brian Christopher was one of my guys, as
Yep.
was Owen Hart. And so I never really got into an argument. Did I say some questionable things? Yeah. But I never got into an argument because,
Right.
like I said, it's not my personality to argue with someone.
Right.
It's just not. It's if you thought that way or if you were angry, like, okay, fine.
Right. I'm a vocal like fan at shows, but I say respectful things. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Because it's nothing worse than watching a guy that's got a cuss to say something to the wrestler and all that stuff. You know?
Yeah, I mean,
it's just ridiculous.
I've said some pretty ridiculous stuff,
Yeah.
and not so much cussing, but I've
Right.
said some things that like.
No, but I'm saying, like, as a wrestler, though, that I'm not even talking about them cussing.
Yeah.
I'm talking about fans. Just,
Oh yeah,
You know,
but that's what they pay a ticket for.
True.
If they're that invested,
Yeah.
if they're so invested that they have to release whatever anger's in them out on you in any format that they feel,
Right.
go for it. That makes us feel better.
Good. All right. Dan Boley, a good friend of mine, wants to know, I know injuries were a factor, but what made you decide you were going to fully retire? And then he adds, we miss you. Also, you got the biggest pop in Chaotic in 2018. He's right. I was there. We were popping huge. What was going through your mind during the Chaotic countdown? So the first part, was it the injury 100% that made you retire?
No.
Okay.
So I'll clarify a lot of things. One, the injury's in my neck. I had neck surgery. I had a disc that was poking at my spinal cord and causing my body head to toe to go numb during matches.
Wow.
So I was getting like partial paralysis.
Yeah.
I had a match with Eddie Edwards where he gave me a buckle and I did go head to toe numb. My legs were spaghetti.
Right.
After that, I went and saw a doctor. I had surgery, yada, yada. That's not the problem. My neck functions fine. So I don't want this to be full blame, and I'm not trying to make this a sap story.
Right.
But it was depression. And the depression stemmed from, in wrestling, you're always told that you're going to have very few friends in life and that you might make 2 in wrestling. Well, the friend that I had made, I'll leave his name out just
Yep,
because
that's fine.
no reason to.
Absolutely.
But the friend that I made was like my best friend. He was like a brother to me.
Right.
And I loved him beyond belief.
Yep.
He had committed an action that, in my eyes, is something that I would never do to anyone I love, ever. So when it happened, I was just thrown off. Like I just went into this wallowing darkness of depression. And so I am a comfort eater,
Yep.
which is why this weight came on.
Yep.
But I'm a comfort eater. So what I did was every time I was upset, I'd eat something. I'd eat something. I'd eat something. I would just feed. And once I lost my friendship with this person, I also lost my road buddy. So now I'm going to shows by myself.
Right.
I already, excuse me, I'm already an introverted person,
Yeah.
and I don't like making new friends or inserting myself into conversations. I like to be left alone. So once this happened and I lost my road buddy, now I'm going to shows by myself. So now I'm like, well, road trips suck now.
Right.
And then slightly before that, I don't like the process of anything. I don't like processes.
Yep.
If I could teleport places and do things, I'd be happy.
Right.
So I never liked the process of traveling and mingling and sitting around and waiting for the show to start and waiting for the show to end so I
Right.
can get paid. I didn't like any of this. So it was depression that helped me realize it. But as I was depressed, I hated going on road trips.
Right.
So I started taking less bookings and staying home more. And then when I started staying home more, I was like, wow, I like having my weekends to do nothing.
Right.
So once I started having my weekends to do nothing, I was like, I don't actually want to be on the road anymore. And then I just came to a slow realization of, wow, I don't want to travel anymore. Wow, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to do that. And then I had a match, I want to say it was against Chase. And I think it was when I won the actual Caddick Wrestling Heavyweight Championship. I had put on some weight,
Yep.
and a fan yells at me like, man, you're fat now, blah, blah, blah. And that was whatever. I'm like, yeah, whatever. But then, like, I didn't have the spark.
Right.
In the middle of that match, I just looked around and I said, I don't want to do this anymore.
Wow.
And so mid-match, I lost everything. I was just like, I can't wait to finish this, and I can't wait to go home. And the moment I won the championship, I went back, and at the time, booking was Matt Spectro, my partner in the
Yes.
podcast,
Yep.
Tarzan Taylor. And I told him, I said, I don't want to hold this belt long. I want to quit by December, or whatever it was I
I
quit.
heard you mention that on your podcast.
And that was it. I realized I didn't want to be on the road anymore.
Yep.
And I was burnt out.
Right.
I was burnt out, and I realized that this wasn't something I wanted to do. But the Caddick Countdown,
Yes.
what went through my head on that, honestly, like, swear to God, hand to God, don't get blown up. That was
Right.
it. Just
I hear
I was petrified that I was going to be wobbly-legged
Yeah.
and blown up. I don't want to sound arrogant, but I knew I was going to be able to hit my moonsault fine. My
You
aerial,
did too. You nailed it.
my aerial stuff, it's like riding a bike.
Yep.
Yeah, although my body's gotten bigger,
Right.
my ability doesn't forget.
Yep.
So during that time, it was cool to see that I could command a crowd like that, but it didn't give me the spark I wanted.
Right.
I was in there, and everyone's
Yeah.
like, "Oh, you're feeling it now," and I was like, "I'm really not." Like, I was glad to be out of the ring. Once they threw me out, I was like, "Thank God I didn't get blown up, and thank God it's over."
Right.
Like, I was fine with it. I was okay with not being in the ring anymore. I just don't want attention on me anymore. So it didn't give me the spark I wanted to be able to return.
Right.
It does once in a while when I
Yeah.
see different things, but that specific time didn't. I was just afraid of being blown up.
How long did you know before you were doing it? Did you know a week or two, or was it did Fury wait till like the last minute?
Brian kind of waited till the last minute, sort of. Like, it was like the month of the countdown, and he
Okay.
goes, "Hey, you ready to be in the countdown?" And I was like, "Haha, funny." And then we just nothing.
Right.
And then I want to say it was a week or two before the countdown. He's like, "All right, so you ready for the countdown, right?" And I was like, "Wait, am I seriously in it?" And he's like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Oh."
Probably not what he was looking for.
Yeah, and I was like, I'm not in shape for this at all. Like,
Right.
what am I going to wear? What's going to look flattering? I look like a balloon. Camera adds 100-pound guys, but
Yeah. don't
I'm
worry
not this
about it.
big, but I'm big. But yeah, that's kind of where that left at.
But really, though, he needs not. When I'm not saying it either to blow smoke up your ass or anything like that, you really did nail it, and you did get a huge pop.
Thanks,
we all
man.
flipped out over. it.
I had fun. It was cool, but
Right.
I don't need it.
Okay. Nathan Fuller wants to know, who do you think is the next New England wrestler that will be signed to NXT?
Well, if you don't count Josh
Right.
Briggs and Anthony Green to Evolve, Christian Casanova.
Yeah.
The problem, I love Christian to death. I think he's come such a long way.
Right.
Really good talent. The problem with Christian, which I'm afraid of, is there's nothing he can fix. Got a great body,
Right.
but he's short in stature. And so when you look at him in the ring next to bigger people, he looks
Beefcake Charlie.
Yeah, he just looks small, and so there's only going to be so much you can do with him. If he goes to NXT, he's going to have a hard time picking up the ball and rolling. But I would hope him.
Right.
I would hope Christian Casanova.
Me too. We love him. My family. My grandson's favorite wrestler. But he never saw you wrestle though, so you could have been his favorite. JP Griffin. The podcast has had some great interviews so far. I love this question too. Is there anyone that you guys think made stuff up or just brought it into their own stories that were not completely true?
Kinda. It's person dependent.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'll keep my mouth shut unless you ask me.
Right.
The moment you inquire something with me, then there's no barrier. I'm going to tell you
No
what I
filter.
think. Yeah, there's no filter.
Like a little kid.
Exactly.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, no.
I work with kids. They have no filters, man.
Very much. I don't mind offending someone because
Yeah.
it's my opinion.
Right.
And if you don't like it, tough.
Yeah.
But as far as people go, yeah, there are. You can tell in their voice too. You can
Right.
read the bull when it comes out because if they're stuttering or if you're thinking about their answer and it's not just coming off their
Right.
mouth, chances are that they're trying to figure out how do I word this so I don't piss the boys off.
Yeah.
Also, I don't piss management off. So yeah, there's people that definitely worm the way they address each question.
Okay. Mike Crockett, who's on an extended hiatus from the ring. Why does Brian Fury hate to catch you on dives? Is this true?
Yeah,
Seriously?
Brian's a wuss. Brian, I told him to catch me for a dive, and he just let me fall right on the ground. Right on the. I'm kidding. No, it's a joke. Quick story in
Yeah.
New Jersey. We were doing a match for the NWO on Fire Heavyweight Championship in New Jersey, and I told Brian I'm going to do a no look dive, stage dive. I said I'm going to jump out, so make sure you're out because I'm going to springboard go out. Well, I miscalculated the way I did it, and I sprungboard and went straight up. And so as I went up, Brian was like, "Oh,"
Yeah.
and he came running and caught my head from smashing into the ground.
Nice.
So that's why I'm not brain dead, but my tailbone smashed into the ground. I was I must have been like 15 feet in the air, and I couldn't drive home or walk for like 2 days. But yeah, that's what that's referring to.
Nice. Thanks, Crockett, for the question. Stephen Lambert, this is good too.
Mm-hmm.
What are some other guests you would like to interview on the Truth, Justice, and the New England Pro Wrestling Way? I don't know if he's trying to get the Middlesex Express in there or not. I don't know. Brandon Belanger used it to get on this show, which is fine.
Well, okay. So one, I am going to ask fans out there, please comment on the Facebook or Twitter, Truth, Justice, and the New England Pro Wrestling Way, and tell me who you would like to see. In my personal opinion, I really want to get Drew Cordero. He's my biggest guy.
I heard you mention that on it.
Yes. Because the reason why is because Beyond is such a, and I'm going to tell you, I'll say it right here live,
Yep.
I hated Beyond Wrestling.
Right.
I hated it beyond belief, and I did not invest.
Right.
And that was my mistake, clearly. I looked at it as a backyard promotion.
Yeah.
I looked at it as something that when I was taught in wrestling, it's like stay away from backyard promotions.
Right.
This looked like a backyard promotion, and it was the boys wrestling in front of the boys. I hated it. So one, I'd like to get him on so I can, to his face, admit and then apologize that I was an idiot. Two, his story's so interesting, and he doesn't do a lot of interviews, if any.
Yeah. I tried to get him on here for a long time ago.
Yeah, I want to get that door open. I
Nice.
want him to tell his story, and I feel like a lot of people will want to tune in and hear that.
And I think that'd be great too because he is a promoter, but to me, he promotes like super shows because he brings in the top indie talent. I remember when I went to the first or second show, I hit him up on Facebook and I told him that it reminded me of the Ring of Honor era, 2002 to 2000, let's say 6. And he said he thought that was the biggest compliment he could get because that was his favorite time in wrestling.
Yeah,
So.
I honestly, like Beyond Wrestling went from a company that it looked like a backyard idea, who now has literally over 1 million followers on YouTube. Like the third top YouTube, you know what I mean? It's insane to think about. And so I'd just like to hear his thoughts and hear the story on how he thought of it and how it became what it is today.
Nice. I'm catching up. I got 175.
Oh, there you go.
All right, I got a couple more questions.
Yes, sir.
As a commentator alongside Rich Palladino, would you be open to doing for any other companies if they asked? And what I'm thinking, like how AG just started up a company.
Yeah.
What if he came to you? Would you? Is that something you're interested in?
Yeah, absolutely.
Nice.
I absolutely will do. Honestly, I'll do anything that anyone asks me to.
Yep.
I'm at a point now where if I feel it's worth my time, or if I'm willing to do it, like I'll do it. You just have to ask me. You know what I mean? Even if you want me to do a backflip into the ring, like I'll do it. It's gonna hurt my knees later, but I'll do it. You know what I mean? But if you want me to do commentary, like I would love to do that. I would. Absolutely.
You and Rich got great chemistry.
I enjoy it.
And I mean, it's probably easy too, like with Rich, because I know he's such a good guy, and I'm sure you guys are great friends. So I mean, it must be nice to do it with him.
Yep.
All right, you are a trainer at the New England Pro Wrestling Academy, or so sometimes I hear guys like you say, NEPWA.
Yep.
What's your favorite part of training? And what do you hate the most about training?
What do I hate the most?
Yeah.
I hate unmotivated students. I hate it beyond belief. If a student comes in with their arms down by the side, if they're not rushing to get in the first in the ring, and this is coming from a guy who, when I was there, I would always try to be the first in, last out.
Yep.
I know they hear it all the time, but I was always the guy, like when a drill was taught, and it's like, who's going first?
Right.
I was the first to slide in because I was like, I need to outperform everyone.
Yep.
And it was nice to see people like Ricky Archer and Charlie Cashew come in.
Yep.
Because I hadn't seen anyone with the drive that they have since like Christian Casanova came in.
Right.
So, or I don't know timeline, so no shot at Dominic Dijakovic, but
Another guy.
But you know what I mean? Like I haven't
Yeah.
seen a drive because everyone's very like,
Right.
and I just seeing an unmotivated student bothers the hell out of me.
As it should, as a trainer at a wrestling school.
Yeah, because I'm like,
should.
I'm not getting paid to do this,
Right.
and if you're not motivated, then why did I just waste an hour drive to
Right.
come help you? So, to flip side of that,
Yep.
I like to see growth.
Right.
It doesn't matter how small it is.
Yep.
I like to see little things like I'll use one of our students, Kason. Kason went from one, I can tell it's slowly happening, but I can tell he's getting in better shape.
Nice.
Two, his in-ring ability and his confidence and everything that we kind of teach him,
Yep.
he's slowly grasping and he's slowly working it in, and he's starting to open up in the ring. He's starting to gain a personality, his in-ring movement and his just everything that we teach, he's
Right.
slowly implementing into his game, and I'm watching him slowly flourish. And I'm like, man, he's growing.
Yep.
This is awesome. And then when you see people like Ricky Archer and Charlie Cashew getting over, doing this, or getting shows and people loving them, you're just like, this is awesome, man. I can't wait to see them. And it's like, I don't even want praise. Like,
Right.
if no one ever knew I helped train them, I
Right.
could care less.
Right.
It's just me personally, I'm like, I'm happy I helped them try to get the ball rolling into living their dream. That's all I care about.
And speaking of that, though, like of guys stepping up and go, a bunch of students just made their debut at the Gil Bonk Battle Royal
Yes.
for APW. I told this last week to someone, and I had 3 shows last week. I think it was Johnny Vegas. And I came in from taking the trash out because I was doing the concessions, and they announced Sarah. I immediately just stopped. I wasn't going back in that kitchen
Yeah.
for at least 5 to 10 minutes, and I watched cheering her on. It was so awesome to see the girl that takes all the stuff from the wrestlers and goes to the back and drops it off to make her debut. I was so happy to be there.
Yeah.
And I've never talked with her in my life. You know,
But
it
it's just nice to see.
yes, because I knew how hard she had been working. Brandon, he told me she works very hard.
Yeah, she does very much. I was very glad that she finally got an opportunity.
Nice. I'm going to do the last one, and then I have a last question I'm going to ask. But
Go for it.
Gambolia says, why does he hate Matt Taven?
Okay, so years ago, Matt Taven was what I considered one of my best friends.
Right.
And so this all stems from a female.
Yep.
So back in the day when Casey Ray started in wrestling, Casey Ray and I started talking, and
Right.
we were kind of like dating.
Yep.
And so I remember Taven got me on an NEW show. So Taven and I are going, and he's like, hey, what's the deal with you and Casey Ray? Are you guys dating? And I was like, oh, we're talking. Like,
Yeah.
we're kind of talking to each other, and it's kind of a thing. So fast forward, Casey Ray is messaging me, and she's like, oh, hey, I have the show, Chaotic's running a show tonight, but Matt Taven told me I can manage him at NEW. What should I do?
Right.
And I was like, oh, you should definitely go do that NEW show. Tell Jamie that's an opportunity. Get your foot in the door. Yada yada. I said, text me and let me know how the show goes. She's like, okay, great. Thank you so much, and hearts and kisses, whatever. And then later that night, I'm like, hey, how's the show? And I didn't get an answer, so I was like, all right, whatever, fine. And then I go home just before bed. I was like, I don't know how the show went, but I'm sure you did well. We'll talk about it in the morning. But bye. I wake up and get a text. I was like, okay. So I texted her one more time, and I was like, hey, is everything okay? And she goes, stop texting me, fucking psycho. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
So I was like, what is happening? You just
not
came
a psycho
like
move at all.
overnight.
Yeah.
So I'm like, what is that? Like, what happened? So I'm not dumb. I put two and two together, and I was like, oh my God, tell me that you went and Matt Taven. And yeah, she did. So I was mad because I was like,
I would be
dude,
too.
this guy who I thought was my best friend knew I was talking and like trying to get something going with this woman, and he does this, like, again, something I would never do.
Right.
So I don't hate anyone.
Right.
I just dislike Matt Taven because that was a demonstration of his character.
Yep.
And therefore, again, I don't hold on to anything.
Right.
I live by a term which is forgive, never forget.
Yep.
So I forgive it, whatever it is, it's done, but I'll never forget what you did.
Right.
Therefore, I'll always remember what type of person you are.
Yep.
And that demonstration of character just means that I've written you off for life. Everyone in my life, I've given one chance.
Right.
You get one chance with me.
Yep.
If you mess it up, I'm going to feel like a human about it.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, I will forgive. I will never forget.
Right.
And so I don't hate Matt. I wouldn't trust him alone with my kids, my girlfriend, or with my wallet or keys. It's just, it is what it is.
Yep. And I don't blame you because I come from where I grew up in Lowell. We had a lot of kids in the neighborhood, and everybody had girls as we get older.
Yep.
And everyone had a chance. And I watched some kids do that to my girlfriend, my ex, or whatever. And same thing with, I would never even like how he asked you. That would be like the only way if I was gonna date a friend.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But once you said you were talking and dating, that should have been back off time.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, exactly. And it wasn't. Now, granted, it takes two to tango. So obviously, Casey would have had to have told him, like, I'm fair game or whatever. Right. So yeah, it takes both. But I can honestly say, because I have been in this opportunity or this situation, that it takes the other person to be bigger and be like, hey, probably shouldn't because this is what I hear, this is what's happening, so on and so forth. That's just me.
Yep.
I can't expect everyone to be with my personality, but I can choose who I associate myself with, and that's a guy that I've chosen to separate myself from.
Yep.
So
nice. There you go, Dan. You got your answer. All right, I asked you this off air, I think. I didn't ask it this earlier. DJ is much thinner now. DJ Barron, obviously. This is from Sonny Goodspeed. Do you have any interest in being an honorary member of Chunky But Funky? And then I'm going to say it now, but you can answer this after. Thoughts on your 1 hour match you had with Bob Evans? Sonny was on commentary, I guess. I didn't know you were one of the 8. Was it 8 that Bob did? Okay.
Yep. So, yes, first of all, I would love to be part of Chunky But Funky. I did actually got to see him, oh my God, Sonny Goodspeed wrestle, but I also got to see Scott Ashworth wrestle.
Nice.
I actually got to wrestle Scott Ashworth, like when I first started. So yes, I would love to be an honorary member. That's right up my alley. 2, people crap on Bob a lot because Bob can be hokey.
Right.
Bob also does these things like Iron Man matches in front of no one for whatever reason. Whatever. I love the match.
Yeah.
I genuinely did. Can Bob be a goofball? Yes. Can Bob seem like a caricature of a wrestler? Absolutely. But the match that we had, because of the liberties that he allowed me to have, but also like just the way it flowed and the way it was working out, like I genuinely loved it. I had fun. It was a new experience in my life. And I think it was probably one of the better matches me and Bob ever had.
Nice. And Bob did do that 8, like you said, 8 matches. That's a pretty incredible feat. Wasn't it like 8 matches, 8 1 hour matches in 1 week or something like that?
And then for every match, every time you get a pinfall, there's like a 1 minute rest or something like
Oh,
that.
okay.
But either way, like, I don't care. I was in
Right.
the best shape of my life. I almost puked in the middle of our match because I was so dehydrated.
Nice. I've been watching Bob wrestle for a long time. Back to when he was centerfold Bob Evans for Jeff Costa.
Really?
With the disposable camera taking pictures of himself. Hilarious
That
stuff.
sounds amazing.
He probably wasn't even in the business that long.
Yeah.
I want to talk about your podcast, the Truth, Justice, and the New England Pro Wrestling Way. You've had 11 episodes that have been, now Wednesday, number 12 will come out, correct?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Not this Wednesday, but next Wednesday. We're
Next week, 'cause
bi-weekly.
you're doing one, oh, okay, so you're doing 2 a month.
Yes, 2
Okay,
a month.
great.
We want to go weekly, and I think right now Tarzan and Matt Spectro.
Yeah.
Tarzan Taylor, Matt Spectro, whatever you want to
Two
call
guys.
him. He wants to, but he just had a kid, so
Yes.
he's trying to figure out his schedule. But I
Okay.
think at some point we do want to do weekly.
Nice. Okay. What I want to do is go through all 11 episodes, like the person who was, and and tell me what your favorite part of doing that podcast was with them.
Okay.
Jamie J. McKelsey, episode 1.
Jamie's been a long time like I said, Jamie's
Right.
known me since I was 18, 19 years old. So it was fun to pick his brain on chaotic wrestling because I was a part of it.
Right.
And I heard rumors, I heard, Tarzan's my friend. I heard from the horse's mouth sometimes that we didn't make any money or that we didn't, draw well or whatever the case may be.
Yep.
So it was fun to pick his brain during the episode to figure out, is he bullshitting me or
Right.
is he not? So I enjoyed that part.
All right, excellent. Episode 2, Davy Ann and Ava Everett. I always wonder if I say her name right. Davy, I'll just say that.
I was, I think, extra giddy and fired up that match because I had so many questions
Yeah.
that people are so afraid to address women with because it's 2019 now
Yep.
and everyone's so sensitive.
Oh, you did. You had quite a few good
Yeah,
questions
so
about
but
the
like you could
creeps and stuff.
hear it in my voice how
Yeah.
I'm so excited because I really was I
Yep.
was like I get to ask stuff that no one's gonna want to ask. So I enjoyed the picking and poking, and I could tell I was making them uncomfortable,
Yeah.
but at the same time, I don't know, I was having fun with it. So
Nice. All right. Number 3, episode 3, the King of Dad style, Scotty Slade. Listen, Scotty, you've been the King of Dad style for a couple of years. I've been the King of Dad style since 1986.
there you go. So gimmick
no-
infringement.
Yeah. So Scotty Slade's episode.
Scotty was fun too because he's one of my closest
Yep.
friends, and I've always wanted to know because we called it short guys in wrestling or small guys in wrestling because I feel like they don't get as much opportunity as everyone else.
Right.
So I just like to know what goes through their mind. So I always enjoy all my podcasts because I
Yep.
like interviewing and getting people's perspectives. But with Scotty, it was just kind of cool to plug his or not plug, but delve into his mind because as much as he's not going to admit it to anyone, Scotty doesn't like to be picked on for his size, and he'll lash out at you if you do.
Right.
So it was kind of cool to really jump into his mind and see what he thinks of the whole situation.
Right. Nice. Episode number 4. 1/3 now of the co-hosts of the wrestling podcast About Nothing, Mike Crockett.
Mike Crockett it's so weird hearing him on the WPAN, which is the wrestling podcast About Nothing, which you can download on any podcasting app you see fit.
Comes out every Monday morning.
Yes. He is a very soft-spoken, non-controversial person.
Right.
So that was something that was intriguing me. Is like I was kind of nervous because I was like, when Crockett has to talk about himself, he's not really one to talk. He's not doesn't like talking about himself.
Yep.
I don't either, which is why I was kind of hell bent on not doing the show at one point because I don't like talking about myself. But neither is Crockett. So I was kind of like, I want to know what his life was like being a referee and what his preparation was and how was his mind work. And I mean, he's not the only ref we want to do. At some point I want Rich Bass,
Right.
other people, but Crockett was a guy that's been around for so long. I wanted to figure out where's your mind at when you do most matches and whatnot, and just see what the inner workings of him was. But it was kind of cool to see him open up in a light I've never seen him before.
Right.
So.
Even though he doesn't do it much anymore, he's if he was a wrestler and he was still wrestling, he'd probably be the longest tenured guy that's still working. Because I forgot that he really worked for Killer Kowalski shows and stuff like that. I always just imagine that it was just chaotic.
Yeah.
So, all right, episode number 5, a guy that has an open invitation to come on this show whenever he wants, and hope you're healing well, Maverick Wild.
You don't want him on the show. You'll lose ratings.
Oh, come on.
No, Maverick's cool. More for, I had no idea that he actually ran a promotion.
Right.
I had no idea the front row
yeah.
wrestling. I had no idea. So it was like almost eye-opening for me. Tarzan Taylor liked that way more because Tarzan was a part of it. So
Right.
he was like, man, I haven't talked to Mav in a while. I would just like to get Mav's perspective on it,
Yeah.
so on and so forth. So it was just, it was kind of cool because it was almost educational for me.
Yeah. And I mean, he was honest and stuff too. How about, like, he did really promote.
Yeah.
As he says, he was a horrible promoter. So when you said that you didn't know he had a promotion, a lot of other people didn't either.
Yeah.
Had to do it, Mav. Mav's great. Sheldon Goldberg. I was really interested in this one too because I had Sheldon here. He's a great guy.
Sheldon, I was really, there's a few people that we interviewed that I was really excited for. Sheldon was one of them, and here's why. Not only did he run a promotion forever,
Yep.
but he's not heavily involved in wrestling anymore, and he's a very outspoken individual.
Yeah.
So I know what people love.
Yep.
People love drama. People
Sure do.
love drama.
Yep.
So what they want is they want someone in wrestling to speak badly or at least elaborate on things that they don't know of. Same with us. Like, if we look at CM Punk's life, we're going to be like, ooh, what's going on in his
Right.
life? Or whatever. So when Sheldon came on, he just started tearing into what he was talking about. I was like, yes, keep going. So he was just a guy that I was hoping was going to do exactly what he did, which was
Right.
open a door that I don't think anyone knows existed.
Nice. Real quick, I just have to ask you this for your opinion on Dan Boley had asked this last week on the what do you think about two promoters going at it on social media, bashing each other? Do you think, obviously, I think it's horrible for both companies.
Yeah.
What's your opinion on
It's
that?
unprofessional.
Right.
It's super unprofessional.
Yeah.
Like, we're all fans just trying to live the wrestling dream.
Right.
Which any way we see fit. Realistically, like, if two promoters are bashing each other about each other's shows or about how you run your show
Right.
or about where you're booking or who you book, like, what is that doing for you?
Right.
Better yet, what is that doing for the business of wrestling? Nothing. You're literally, I don't know if you could swear, but you're dick measuring.
Yep.
And so, for what? Because you're insecure about yourself?
Right.
Or you're insecure about your company? Stop.
Yep.
Like, just do what's best for the business of wrestling. And then stop measuring with each other. Stop comparing your company to company A to company B.
Right.
It does nothing for you.
Yeah.
It does nothing for you. Focus on your company and focus on making it better than everyone else so people can draw to you. Therefore, you make revenue and everything's better for you.
Yep.
So the bickering is unprofessional. There's no reason for it.
Right. And real quick, I like both those guys too. I like them a lot.
Yeah.
Episode number 7, Todd Sopel.
Loved
Someone
it.
that I don't really like that much.
So Todd's very much a can dish it but can't take it. But Todd's also, and AG said this too, he's a very outspoken person.
Yes, he is.
And that's
Yep.
what I wanted about him.
Right.
I was like, Todd will rant about anything.
Yep.
I do think that Todd is delusional about some things. But I respect the fact that he too is not afraid to, when asked,
Right.
share his opinion filter free.
Yeah. And I may not like Todd Sopel, the person, but I'd never knock him on his wrestling. He ran a good company, you know?
Very much.
He can definitely talk, and he's a decent worker. I'm not going to sit there and say like he had said that he was as good as Matt Taven, for instance.
Yeah, it's.
But
sorry,
he's good enough to book on a show. There's
Yeah.
no doubt. So, all right, episode number 8, Brian Fury.
So Brian was nervous to jump on our show because, as much as he's not going to admit it, Brian is still very political because he owns a school.
Right.
He owns so he has to be PC with a lot
Yeah.
of his answers, and he knows that we like to dig. And obviously, we're friends with him.
Right.
We're going to dig a little deeper.
Yeah.
So. He was very nervous to be on the show,
Yeah.
but I think overall it was kind of cool. He quickly grew in our downloads because I think it's just because he is a New England school
Yeah.
that has turned out some recent talent that people are like, I want to know what's going on over
Right.
there. And I don't think, obviously word's going to travel, so I don't think people know what Brian actually puts into the school because
Right.
you hungry there, kid?
Yeah, unreal.
I don't think a lot of people know what he puts into the school.
Right.
So I think it's more of people are curious, and I'm sure word's spreading, but it's an eye opener for people
Right.
to be like, I didn't know how that much went into a school. So
He was one of my favorite guests here. Sonny got him for me, and
Yeah.
that was awesome. All right, Anthony Green, episode number 9.
Oh, Anthony Green. This dude is the nicest human being in the world. Encyclopedia for wrestling.
Oh, yeah.
Retains everything and anything. But he was, I love Anthony Green
Yeah.
to death. But he wasn't more or less fun to interview. And this isn't a shot at him. It's just
Right.
because he was too nice and everything was too well done. Like there's no drawing point to it.
Yeah.
You did your company very well. You aren't one to crap on anyone. So like, I don't know. It was kind of cool to be like, dude, you have a good head on your shoulders.
Right.
But like at the same time, like, but for entertainment value.
Yeah.
So that one kind of lacked for me. I was
Yep.
just like, man, like, I really wish you were willing to crap on someone, but it is what it is.
Now, I told him at the APW show that I was at and he was on that I really do believe he had the best 2019 out of any wrestler. And I'm talking any wrestler.
Yeah, absolutely.
With all the tournaments he won, the belts he won, and almost marrying 2 women.
Yep.
Not bad.
Fact.
Look, really, though, on a serious note, incredible talent.
He
Incredible.
really is. He really is.
How about Joey Eastman? And do you ever think you'll have Cindy Bacabella on?
Probably not, because we're
he was
trying
on
to.
here.
Oh, I know. We're trying to really stay away from people staying in gimmick or anything
Yep.
like that. Joey Eastman was awesome. Him and Sean Gorman are my choices for managers right now because they were so heavily involved at the New England area. And Joey Eastman is a big personality, but he's another guy.
Right.
You ask him a question, he's going to give you the truth. He's not going to tiptoe around it. He's not going to give you a political answer.
Right.
He'll give you the truth.
Yep.
And he's such a big personality that he can be, when being serious, he can also be entertaining.
Right.
So I just had so much fun just talking to him, and I always have. So
Nice. And the last episode that has been posted is APW's Michael Morse.
So Mike was like a desert, just very dry.
Yeah.
Mike, I like him. He's a super
Yep.
nice guy, by the
Yes,
way.
he is.
I just, this is the roasting part of me that comes out. Mike has a resting angry face
Yep.
or a resting I don't care face. So at first I was like, he doesn't seem excited to do this at all. And then secondly, he just has a very like,
Right.
personality. But overall, it was kind of cool to hear his experiences with APW. I think he should seek counsel elsewhere as far as what to do with the company and whatnot. And I think he should take more chances with better talent. That's not to say the talent that they're booking right now is bad,
Right.
because there is a lot of value in the talent they're using.
Yes.
I will say it over and over again. I'm a huge fan of Nightbreed. Was when I was 14 years old,
Yep.
still am. I think they
Nice.
have a lot of value. Danny Miles is great.
Yes.
Ilya is great. Obviously, Killanova Inc. is great. I think their talent's good, great, but they could definitely improve by bringing in other people who are more. I'll use Beyond as an example.
Okay.
Beyond Wrestling stuck out to me. First, I was like, everyone talked about Beyond. And
Right.
I was like, I don't know what it is. I looked it up on YouTube. I was like, backyard, whatever. And then I saw Davey Richards wrestle for them.
Right.
And my mind was blown.
Yeah.
I was like, why is Davey Richards wrestling for this company? Immediately, I took notice to it.
Yeah.
And so I feel like if APW took that and was like, all right, we need to get someone
Right.
who doesn't typically want to wrestle for the show and get him on the show
Yeah.
and use him a couple times, then people will be like, why do they want to wrestle for APW? What's going on over there? Let's go over there. And then
Right.
you may draw more fans.
Right, nice. I'm going to throw a name at you right now. But if it's true, I think it's fantastic. Chris Statlander, she could just get signed to NXT.
I was going to
Did
say,
you see that
yeah,
too?
I just saw the article last night.
Yeah,
I mean,
I saw it this morning.
good on her.
Yeah.
Good on her. First time I saw Chris Statlander, I want to say it was at a Blitzkrieg show.
Okay.
I hadn't gone to an indie show since Chaotic in years. And at the time, Susanna was still working.
Yeah.
And so I went with her to just watch. I just
Yeah.
wanted to kind of hang out. And she was there. And I was like, wow, she's very athletic. And then her popularity grew quick.
Yeah.
I think she is a very talented female.
Nice.
Obviously, she's still super green and
Yep.
still super young. And there's a lot of stuff that's going to come with time, as with everyone. But my personal opinion is I think she should have waited to sign with NXT. One thing I noticed is that when people sign too quick, their stock isn't fully valuable.
Right.
And so now she's going to be thrown into a mix with the other women,
Yep.
as opposed to being so valuable that they're like, I can't keep her off TV. So I think she should have waited it out, built her popularity in the indies,
Yep.
maybe went to Ring of Honor, maybe
Right.
TNA, give them a reason to be like, I need this woman on my show.
Right.
So, but good on her. Either way, she's going to be making money and a living, and wrestling's going to be her life. So good on her.
Absolutely. Julie, thanks for coming on. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure,
We're
pal.
out of time.
That's all right.
Peace!